With this 40-pin cable test board using the ESP32C3, I had set it up with a bunch of built-in tests that can be chosen from the OLED menu, but this is just an arbitrary thing just to make sure things work. Really, it's up to the user to program in their own tests in the sketch. So to help make that easier, I now added a new one called Test Example, and if I run it, it's going to pass. And I created the test to look for connections between output headers pin 1, 2, and 10 going to input headers pin 3, 5, and 10, just to show some examples. So if I unplug the cable on pin 10 and run the test, it will detect an open failure on pin 10. And if I take the output pin 1 cable and put it somewhere it's not supposed to go, and also put pin 10 somewhere it's not supposed to go, if I run this again, I should get a fail open on pins 1 and 10 and a short or miswired on 1 and 10. So it's open 1 and 10 and then short 1 and 10. So one of the things I don't like, you can see the timing issue when it's reporting the open and short. Like right now, it's doing this very long delay. Then it goes quickly through them. And those timings can be all over the place depending which pins I'm testing and which ones are failed. That's just a quirk with the way I wrote software because software is not my first language. I'm not fluent in it. But as long as things are working, that's just a side issue. So in order to make the sketch easier to add more tests, I put some comments where code blocks can be copied and pasted, and you can put your own wiring maps and then have the tests show up in the menu. So let's go look at how that's done. With the sketch loaded, in the Tools menu I have everything configured for the ESP32C3 module, USB CDC enabled. I changed a few things in how the sketch runs, and there are still some things that I don't like, but the goal is just to get things working. What I did is I added some comments, so if I search for example 4, there's 4 instances in the sketch right now, so if I go to those, example 4, adding more tests. I just put these arbitrary ones here for the purpose of demonstrating how the code works. So to make it more clear how to add your own new functions, you would define them like this. So this is the section where you add items to the menu. So menu items 1, 2, 3, and 4 already exist. So I would call this one 5 and then give it whatever name. I'm just calling it test example. So that's going to show on the OLED. If I wanted to add yet another one, I would copy, paste, give it another name for the OLED, and now this one would be menu item 6. But I'm not going to do that right now, so I'll undo. Now looking for the next instance of example code. Here's where we tell the sketch what to do when a menu item is clicked. So again, I added this extra one for the new test example, so it's called MI5. If I wanted to add yet another, it would be MI6, and it goes to this item 5 selected. So if I add another one, it would be item 6 selected. If we go to the next comment example, here is that function for item 5 selected. So all it does is show something on the OLED saying we're running a test. Then it goes and runs some test function. So here I have a new function I called example. If I'm going to add yet another menu item, I would copy and paste this and change it from item 5 to item 6 or whatever item I'm on. And then I would have to create another test function and I would reference it right here. So this being called cable test example, we have to go now and see what it's doing. So again, I keep searching for example comment. And here's the cable testing functions that actually do the test. So if I wanted to add yet another one, I would copy this whole function and duplicate it and give it a new name like example 2 or whatever. So in this example, I set it up to test 3 pins just to show how it's done. And when creating a new test function, all that needs to change is these lines here that say which output pin is supposed to be connected to which input header pin. So on the output header, I have a wire on pins 1, 2, and 10, and those each go to the input header side, pin 3, 5, and 10. So a successful test would show a connection between output 1 and input 3, output 2 and input 5, output 10 and input 10. Let's say I wanted to add another pin to this. If I copy that, let's say I want to test the output header pin 12 being connected to the input header pin 20. That's all I need to do, and it will start adding that pin to the test when this example test function is called. So just doing those modifications on those 4 examples, adding the new functions where needed, adding extra menu items to call those functions, and adding the actual test option to the OLED menu, that's how we add our own extra tests.